Hello there, I'm Shaun McLaren, and today I'll be playing this lovely little green-white deck, green-white tokens. It's what I played to the Pro Tour. It's also the archetype that won the Pro Tour. Unfortunately, I didn't do too well because draft kicked my butt, but I think this is actually the best deck in Standard, and I really like my version as well, so I'm gonna take it for a test spin through League. I made a few updates from my Pro Tour deck. The main deck is what I played to the Pro Tour with one more Westvale Abbey. I only played two because the mana even in two-color decks isn't certain, but Westvale Abbey is great, and the mana is great. I really like Evolving Wilds. There's not many 1-drops in this version, so you can just lay down an Evolving Wilds on turn 1. It's also great with Tireless Tracker. So yeah, the mana is really good. You're rarely ever in trouble mana-wise, but again, it's important consideration. Oath of Nissa is amazing. One of the best cards in the deck. Always a 4-of, I would say, since it finds Nissas, Gideons, lands, creatures, etc. Always great. Declaration I like a lot, just for how efficient it is. Everybody's playing Declaration everywhere. Everyone knows how good Declaration is. It's the tempo lost isn't such a big deal, or the tempo gained isn't such a big deal as the card advantage you're giving your opponents. Deathcap Cultivator is something you don't see in all the lists. It's sort of the last addition I made to the deck, and I wasn't sure about it, but I think it's fairly good. It allows you to get turn 3 Gideon some of the time. It makes your Secure the Wastes bigger. It allows you to play Tireless Tracker and then it'll land on turn 3. And it actually is fairly easy to get Death Touch as well. And you have so many clues thanks to Tireless Tracker that just having the extra mana is really good. So a turn 2 Deathcap Cultivator is always a good thing. Sylvan Advocate, I was initially playing like Elvish Visionaries or Thraben Inspectors, but just having a 2/3, this format is it's so important to be able to block things from the White Weenie decks and the Bant Company decks, and Sylvan Advocate is great at doing that, and then it also scales up in the late game to become a huge 4/5. Like you have so much card draw with Tireless Tracker that you don't really care that you're drawing a card with Elvish Visionary, and that's sort of the same principle as Thraben Inspector, I feel too. I prefer Tireless Tracker over it because Tireless Tracker can basically win the game by itself, and it's just such a good card. Like it's just insane. If it's left unchecked, it draws you a bunch of cards, so it can get you out of tough spots. It grows itself. It's just fantastic. For Archangel, for Gideon, for Nissa, this deck is often very defensive. You just deploy your planeswalkers and sit behind them while they chump block. There's a lot of ground combat, so you can spend your time chump blocking until you develop an Archangel or get some sort of advantage, find a way to remove things, and then you just snowball an advantage because you have planeswalkers, good removal, all that sort of stuff. The sideboard, I have first of all a very controlling sideboard transformational available to me for against the human decks and Bant Company decks. Planar Outburst is fantastic against like mono white one drop human decks that are just trying to swarm you. Often even more so than Tragic Arrogance, because you sometimes you just don't have a creature and need to clear the board completely. But Tragic Arrogance is also better in more matchups, but Planar Outburst is sort of targeted specifically against Bank Company and humans. And then Surak is goes in the completely opposite direction by being great against ramp, or also pretty good against control decks. Maybe not amazing, but it allows you to push the aggro aspects of the deck. So you can go either controlling or aggro. Quarantine Field I love. You bring it in against a lot of decks since it scales in the late game and can just be devastating when you play it for like getting 3 permanents. And it's good against Planeswalkers or Pyromancer's Goggles. Lambholt Pacifist I'm trying out. I didn't actually play it at the Pro Tour, but I considered it. It's similar to Sylvan Advocate in that it's just a good blocker in the early game, and there's plenty of ways that you can make it attack, like minusing Nissa allows it to attack since it counts its own power, or having a Gideon emblem. Clip Wings for random flyers, and Ujatai, Den Protector for a little bit of value. You see I'm only running 1 Den Protector, 4 Tireless Trackers, so that shows how much value I think Tireless Tracker gets and how good it is. Survivalist I'm also trying out for the first time before against Goggles decks, and it's also good against any white decks that are going to have their own Quarantine Fields or Silk Wraps or anything like that, even their own Evolutionary Leaps, which in other versions of green-white tokens, their Evolutionary Leaps are going to be a lot better than yours. Our Evolutionary Leaps are mainly for just flipping Archangels and single-handedly winning matchups where they have a bunch of removal. Silk Wrap, great in the early game, and Hidden Dragon Slayer, good against a lot of different decks and a lot of cards. So it's a nice effect to have. Like even against ramp, you can kill World Breakers or Dragon Lord of Tarkos, and yeah. So I suppose that's pretty much all I've got to say for now, and I will let the deck do the talking. Let's get to playing.